Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, long time no see. So in this video, I will explain to you about generative phonology. This material was taken from a book written by Schane and published in 1973. So there are three topics I will tell you today. The first is distinctive feature, the second is phonological processes, and the third is phonological rules. Let's start with the distinctive feature. In this distinctive feature, we assume that utterance is composed of a sequence of discrete segments. So we can see that segment is the smallest unit of phonological analysis. So basically, we can differentiate segment based on vowel and consonant, and then we make category of it. For example, like P, B, D, and N. P is category as labial stop voiceless, B is labial stop voice, and D is dental stop voice, and dental nasal voice. However, this kind of category or differentiate is not effective. That's why we need appropriate feature that ideally can share or show the phonetic function of the consonant or vowel. It also can show the phonemic function and also define the natural classes of each word. That's why we need distinctive feature. In this distinctive feature, we will have several subtopics such as binary features, the major class feature, manner feature, place of articulation features, body of tongue features, subsidiary features, and prosodic features. Let's start with binary features. Binary features indicates opposite traits by employing binary system by using plus and minus instead of making two separate labels, such as voiced and voiceless. If it is voiced, we can directly put voiced and then put plus, and if it is voiceless, in the same category voiced, we can put minus. As easy as that. Next, in the major class features, there are syllabic, sonorant, and consonantal. Syllabic is related to segment in syllable. So basically, vowel is syllabic and consonant is non-syllabic. So it's minus syllabic. Sonorant is related to resonant quality of a word, of a sound. Yeah, sound of a word. So this sonorant usually can be heard when we pronounce vowel. So vowel is plus sonorant. However, consonantal is related to narrowed constriction in the oral cavity, either total occlusion or frication. Stop, vericatives, abricate, nasals, and liquids are plus consonantal. Okay, so vowels and semivowels without this degree of narrowing are minus consonantal. So as you can see in the slide, there are syllabic, sonorant, and consonantal. Yeah, you also can see the binary features of it. Syllabic is plus for syllabic nasals and liquids, and also it can be found in vowels. Meanwhile, sonorant, it is for nasals and liquids, or for syllabic nasal liquids, semivowels, and also vowels. However, consonantal only can be found for oral cavity obstruents, nasal liquids, and syllabic nasal liquids. The next is manner feature. We will talk about continuant, delayed release, strident, nasal, and lateral. In manner feature, this continuant and delayed release and also strident and nasal and lateral can be seen from the example. There are 4 consonants, Y, N, L, and R. So Y is sonorant, N is also sonorant, L is sonorant, R is sonorant. Or we can also say that Y is only sonorant, N is sonorant, consonantal, and nasal, L is sonorant, consonantal, and lateral, but not nasal, L, okay, and R is sonorant and consonantal, but not nasal and lateral. The next is place of articulation of feature. This will relate it to anterior and coronal. Okay. According to whether the constriction is at the extreme forward region of the oral cavity, the anterior consonant, or more retracted as the non-anteriors, and furthermore, the articulator is the blade of tongue. So our tongue has a blade. Well, it is coronal. It is for articulator or the coronal. Sorry, the non-coronal. Okay, so for example, there is P, P, C, and K. P is anterior, P is anterior and coronal, C is only coronal, and K is not anterior and also not coronal. The next is body of tongue feature. It will be related with high, low, and back, and round. Round is related to our lip shape when we pronounce the words. Okay, in high and low, we will differentiate it, of course, in high vowels, mid vowels, and low vowels. As you can see, in high vowels, it will be plus high, and in low vowels, it will be low, low plus low. Okay. In binary system utilizing two features, one ought to be able to distinguish a maximum of 4 entities. However, it is very rare to find a word that is in mid vowel. So it's basically high vowels or low vowels. No segment could be both in high and low. And then talking about back and round, as you can see the example there is I, U, U, and E. I is not back and round. U is round. Okay. U is back and round. However, E is only back. It's not round. Okay. Next, we will talk about subsidiary feature. Oh, it is related to tense, voice, aspirated, and glottalized. So, plus tense means tense. Minus tense is lag. Plus voice is voiced. Minus voice means voiceless. Plus aspirated is aspirated. Minus aspirated is unaspirated. And plus glottalized is glottalized, of course. And minus glottalized, also known as non-glottalized. The feature tense occurs with both vowels and consonants. Okay, so this kind of differentiate is to make us easier to check on and to understand the feature to differentiate vowels and consonants. The last is prosodic feature. In prosodic feature, we'll talk about stressed and long. Stressed vowel will be marked plus vowel. Okay, stressed vowels will be marked plus stress, and long segments will be remarked as plus long. Okay, as we shall not be dealing with tone languages, we will not postulate any tone features. Okay, the prosodic features is about the stress and long. All right, that's the first part. Let's begin the second part. It is phonological processes. Let's talk about phonological processes. When morphemes are combined to form words, the segment of neighboring morphemes become juxtaposed, okay, and sometimes undergo changes. These changes consider the morphologically related forms of the words. For example, electric and electricity. Can you hear the difference between electric and electricity? We will talk more about this differentiate by knowing each topic of phonological process. The first is assimilation. There are consonant assimilates vowel, vowel assimilates consonant, consonant assimilates consonant, and vowel assimilates vowel. Let's start it with consonant assimilates vowel feature. So it is related to palatalization and labialization. palatalization and labialization. For example, electric and electricity, analog and analogy. You can hear the differentiate whenever you pronounce it. Electric and electricity, analog and analogy. See, there is part of consonant assimilate into vowel feature. It is reflect a historical palatalization followed by a shift in place of articulation. Furthermore, you can check for Russian language because in Russian language, it will be easier to find this kind of consonant assimilate vowel feature. The next is vowel assimilate consonant feature. It is the modification of vowel that is usually allophonic. As you can see, there is C, sin, cat, and can't. See? The way we pronounce C is we modify E with with Y. So it's not C, but it's C, long Y, like that. I hope you can understand. Next, let's talk about consonant assimilate consonant features. So the process can be seen where the endings of the plural, third person singular, and past tense agree in voicing with the preceding consonant. Okay, so we have the example there: cup, pat, back, raised will be kind of different with back, raised, cup, and pat. See, pat and pat, cup and cup, bake and bag. Okay, prefix in also same, becomes homogenic to a following stop. For example, in plus advisable become inadvisable, but however, for impossible, it is not impossible, but impossible. It becomes imbalance. For in plus balance, it's not imbalance, but it's imbalance. But it is also different when we meet N to T. It's intolerance and followed by indecisive and then incoherent. Okay, it is the consonant assimilate consonant feature. The next is vowel assimilates vowel feature. So it is related to vowel harmony and umlauting. The modification of the vowel is usually allophonic. It's kind of hard to find it in English word, but it is very common for Russian language and German language, as you can see from the example. All right, next is syllable structure process. There are a lot parts of it. The first is consonant deletion, vowel deletion, consonant insertion, vowel insertion, consonant coalescence, vowel coalescence, coalescence of vowel and consonant, and then we will talk about major class changes and metathesis. Let's start from deletion. Okay, deletion for vowel deletion and consonant deletion. In some R dialects of English are less dialects of English, like British, yes, word final is dropped before a consonant or in phrase final. So if you usually say father in some other dialect, it is father. So my father visited me yesterday. It is also used for indefinite article, which we can exchange vowel into n related to the following word after that. The next is consonant deletion. It is morphemes that terminating in a vowel drop the vowel before a suffix beginning with a vowel. So it is the change of the consonant. For example, Mexico, when we want to talk about the people of Mexico, we call them Mexican. See, it's not Mexicon, but it's Mexican. And then cello. So person who plays cello called cellist. I believe that you have a lot more examples. So you can also say like, how about, well, Europe, and then for people who live there, you said European. See, that's the difference. there's such consonant deletion there. Next is epenthesis. It happens for consonant and also for vowel. In epenthesis, we are also talking about insertion. Okay, in consonant insertion, we insert something. R is inserted whenever a word ending in a schwa. Schwa. So that's the red part is schwa, followed with a vowel. So the word is the idea is good. To make it more native, you kind of put R in the middle of idea and is, but it's like slightly. It's not the idea is good, but it's like slightly off. The idea is good. Okay, and then for vowel insertion, schwa is inserted between final consonant and sonorant cluster. For example, central and center. See? Central and center. I put also the way you pronounce it. Next, coalescence. It's differentiated by 3 categories: consonant coalescence, vowel coalescence, and coalescence of vowel and consonant. 2 contiguous consonants are replaced by a single one, which shares features of the 2 original ones in full assimilation. So in consonant coalescence, there is also assimilation. For example, prefix in, assimilate. For example, in plus responsible. It's not becomes irresponsible, but it becomes irresponsible. It shows also the geminate cluster become degeminated. Next is vowel coalescence. Vowel has the same backness and rounding as the original high vowel and the syllabic simpler. As you can see that it is the example taken from Spanish language. Next is coalescence of vowel and consonant. Coalescence involves assimilation and reduction, which can describe as joint action. Okay, as you can see there, okay, France, in French language, I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce it, but like, it is the process of coalescence of vowel and consonant. Next, all right, we will talk about major class changes. It is the unstressed prefix I becomes Y after L, but not after R. Let's take a look to the example. Criterion. Criterion. So the word I, yeah, I after R becomes criterion. Meanwhile, pavilion, I after L becomes Y. Criterion, pavilion. Next, metathesis. Metathesis is likely to be the prelude to a subsequent coalescence whereby the consonant plus glottal stop becomes a glottalized consonant. Okay, so it was taken from, not from English language. So I'm so sorry I couldn't pronounce it to you, but this kind of metathesis is also can be found in other language than English. Okay, next we are going to talk about weakening and strengthening, which is in 4 categories: syncope and apocope, vowel reduction, diphthongization, and vowel shift. Syncope and apocope is syncope and apocope. Syncope is vowel near a stressed vowel is dilated. So vowel near a stressed vowel is dilated. The example is taken from French. People, for example, people. See? People, table, Toulouse, tree. Okay, we have almost same way to say table. So stress vowel near stress vowel is dilated. People. Can you hear that? People. Next, apocope. In apocope, we lost a final unstressed vowel. The example is taken from formal French and colloquial French. And in the English word is church, rat, table, and girl. The meaning of it. Next is vowel reduction. Vowel reduction. As you can see, it is English words. Able. In this vowel reduction, we reduce the vowel. Vowel reduction involves the weakening of unstressed vowels to schwa. So here, let me check on it. We have schwa here. So this is schwa. This is schwa. This is schwa. Okay? We weaken it. So we pronounce it as like able, okay? Canada, photograph, super, sober, and so on for vowel reduction. The next is diphthongization. All right. It is very common for Indonesian language, but for English, the 10th vowels E, I, E, U, and O phonetically are often diphthong. Okay, so E pronounced as E with Y, E, I with E, A, U, and O. Here too the glide have the same backness and rounding as the vowel. The next is vowel shift. How do we can exchange I, A, and A into U, O, and O? Of course, it is for shifting the language also. The effects of great vowel shift are easily observed in words of French or Latin origin. Okay, so English word there is to help us to read. Divine, serene, prevain, profound, and provoke. The stressed last vowel of classical Latin shifted downward in vulgar Latin. High vowels become mid, mid vowels become low, and low vowels remain low. And it's also related to the tense or long vowels that did not undergo vowel shift. Distinction in vowel length were lost in vulgar Latin, and consequently some of the vowels merge. All right. Next is neutralization. It is differentiated by two: consonant neutralization and vowel neutralization. It was taken from, okay, so consonant neutralization is neutralization of word final obstruents takes place in German. So it's German language. In initial and intervolic position, voiced and voiceless obstruents are in contrast. Only voiceless ones are found in word final position. Almost same with vowel neutralization is rarely happens for English. It happens in Russian. So for Russian language, they pronounce it differently. Yeah, there is neutralization process there. All right. So that's the end of phonological processes. Let's begin the part 3. Let's begin the part 3, phonological rules. This is the formal notation after we learn phonological processes. So in phonological processes, we will learn the ordinary language of how we differentiate it. But in phonological rules, we will learn more about how to make it in a formal way, which will be considered to capture generalization that we can find in the process of vowels, consonant, and the process of the feature also. Okay, in phonological rules, we will talk about feature changing rules, rules for deletion and insertion, rules for permutation and coalescence, rules with variables, subscripts and superscripts, and notational convention. All right, let's start with feature changing rules. In this feature changing rules, it will be very related to 3 things. The first is which segments change. The second is how they change. And the third is under what condition they change. It is divided into 2 kinds: the brace notation and the parenthesis notation. as you can see. Braces are the device used in rules for referring to alternate environment. So we can put it into braces to captures the rule. Okay, the example is coming from French language. The vowel, because it is nasal, it can be consonant and it can be nasal. Okay, however, parenthesis notation, we know that parentheses are used as a formal device for collapsing two similar rules when one contains a specification lacking in the other. So, because it is also taken from French language, we can see that French are stressed on one of the last two syllable. Okay. So as you can see from the example, V is vowel. If it has stress, then it is differentiated by this. Okay. Next, let's talk more about rules for deletion and insertion. So deletion is related to null symbol. This is null symbol. Sorry. Okay. This is null symbol. This one is null symbol. It shows the deletion of the segment. So the segment which undergoes deletion appears to the left of the arrow, and the null symbol is to the right. And then we have insertion. Okay, insertion is the null symbol appears in the left of the arrow, and the segment to be inserted appears to the right. Okay, if it is deletion, it appears in the right. If it is insertion, it appears in the left of the arrow. Okay, that's how the rules of deletion and insertion. The next, we're going to talk about rules for permutation and coalescence. It is differentiated by transformation rule. So the rule A to B becomes C is equivalent to AC becomes BC. In these rules for permutation, especially for transformation rules, we will need to specifying a numbering system which to show the elements that appear to the left and using the same numbers on the right to revert to the relative position. As you can see in my right side, there is number and also specifying for it. The second is coalescence. Yes, metathesis and coalescence. In Hanuno language, the cluster glottal stop consonants becomes consonant and glottal stop when it is internal to the word between vowels. In metathesis, you can see there. So this is the example for metathesis, and this is the example of coalescence. This part of rules can also be useful for notation. Oh, sorry. These kinds of rules can also be used for deletion and insertion. Okay, to maximize it. If vowel of nasalization in French is viewed as coalescence rather than as assimilation and subsequent deletion, we can write a coalescence rule. We can write the coalescence rule stating that a vowel and following nasal consonant becomes a nasalized vowel when followed by another consonant or a word boundary. Okay, that's the rule for permutation and coalescence. The next is rules with variables. The first is assimilation. If it is not sonorant and it is voiced, we can make it into braces minus sonorant plus voices. However, if it is minus sonorant but it's minus and also minus voice, we can put it by minus sonorant and minus voice. Two separate rules miss the generalization that the first obstruent always has the same voicing as the second. We should like to state this by a single rule. So to make it simpler, we can make it into one category like this, or one braces. If we have dissimilation, then the next rules with variables is dissimilation. It will be very related to alva continuum and minus alva continuum. Dissimilation process is the process which related to two segments become less similar to each other. It is considered language which does not permit cluster of obstruent with the same manner of articulation, so that stop, 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 or fricative, fricative do not occur. Okay, you can see that in formal means minus alpha expressing the notation of opposite in value 2. Next is the multiple variables. All right. In some cases, a segment may assimilate different values from two or more features of some segment. Consider this common rule. Taking on the obstruent values for the features in anterior and coronal. If the obstruent is a labial, it means that it is plus interior and it's minus coronal. Then the nasal must also have the value plus for the feature interior and minus for the feature coronal. So as you can see here, if the consonant is plus nasal, it can be alpha anterior and beta coronal. So we can make it into one braces, minus sonorant, alpha interior, beta coronal. The following rule, which makes use of a single variable on the feature, if anterior and coronal say something quite different. That's the way we do it. Okay. It is the following rule. This rule states that whenever the obstruent has identical values for the feature, for example, for anterior and coronal, like you see in the slide, the nasal must also have the same identical values. That is, if the obstruent is plus anterior and plus coronal, or minus anterior and minus coronal, the assimilation will take place. So it will be equal. Okay. This rule would convert MT and MK to NT and NK, respectively, but would have no effect on MP or ME. I'm so sorry I couldn't show you any specific example for the word, but I hope you can understand it. The next is exchange rule. In exchange rules, we can put the rules like this. I, E, and A. It becomes like this. Oh my God, like this. Yeah. The variable notation is used for special kinds of rules, known as exchange rules. Exchange rules, switching rules, or flip-flop rules. Those are same. Those rules, all of them has specific symbol. In English, there was the great vowel shift, which affected present vowels that were front and unrounded or backrounded. The low vowels and O eventually become the mid vowels E and O. The original mid vowels become the high vowels I and U, and the two original high vowels become the low vowels A and O. It's actually diphthongs A and OW. Okay. So there is steps the way we, there is step here, the way we exchange the rule. All right. So the last part is subscripts and superscripts. When C0 occurs in a rule, the interpretation is 0 or more consonants. Okay, if C0, it is 0 or more consonants. Any integer can appear as a subscript on a segment and simply means that number of segments or more. C1 means one or more consonants. C2, two or more consonants, and so on. Okay, a subscript on a segment impose a lower bound on the number of those segments needed for the rule to operate. To indicate an upper bound, superscripts are used. Okay, so subscripts can be defined by C0, C1 to show that how many consonants that we can see there. And then to indicate an upper bound, we need superscript. Thus, C1 and 0, like this, sorry, like this, C1 and 0 means 0 or 1 consonant. So, C20, between 0 and 2 consonants. And how about C21? It means between 2 and 1 consonants, and so on. The upper bound restrictions can be equivalently expressed through the parenthesis notation. Alright, for the last notational conventions expressed, it is employed in phonology to be regarded as the abbreviation tricks to make it simpler, to make it effective for us to read, and they are intended to capture relevant aspects of phonological processes. So that's all about my presentation today. I hope you can understand about distinctive feature, phonological processes, and phonological rules I share. That's all from me, and that's the end of the video. I hope you guys healthy and always happy. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye.